And I'm willing to work on that. But
I think the fact that it's a county building makes it partially your problem anyway.
well, there's some argument there.
But I don't disagree with anything that you've said. But again, my issue is at least temporarily until we can come up with a permanent fix. It would sure be nice to know that at least the Justice Center and the employees in it have your all support, and whatever that means to make sure we have law enforcement covering that door. And maybe it's private law enforcement, maybe it's not through the sheriff's department, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I don't.
We made a commitment to the people and to the employees when we gave him about $300,000 or $400,000 more dollars than what we really thought we should. But the sheriff came to us and said, if you can give me back $49,000,
I won't let anyone go.
that'll make it happen. Now, how he proposed to keep 7 people working for $49,000, I don't know. But there's the card game you're talking about.
Again, I'm not disputing. I mean, I'm really. I can't fix that communication, and I've tried really hard to serve as somewhat of a liaison between the two. But
as of February 1st, he still has money in the budget to employ bailiffs.
that may be.
I mean, well,
Well, it's not maybe.
I mean, I don't know his budget.
Long about September, he'll be scrambling because he's out of money. But, you know, there is time to continue to keep the staff where it is and go to work on managing his department.
So is the commission's position then that no additional funding will be allocated for?
No, I wouldn't say that as a position. I need to get a firmer grasp on, you know, court in session, court not in session. Does the fact that the juvenile is there, you know, all the other stuff that's involved.
You gotta understand, this has been the sheriff's responsibility. Okay, but you already know that, so you already know exactly what you're doing, so that's fine.
I mean, I'm not disagreeing with him. I'm
so now,
hopeful
if the ball's back in our court, we're gonna have to figure out, we don't even know when court is.
I'm hopeful that you all will be more rational, I guess, with the information than.
Now, are you prepared as a person who lives off of general revenue next year to hear you got to cut 10% out of your budget because now we have to cover the security at the courthouse because the sheriff no longer wishes to do it? Because it's all coming out of the general revenue pot. So I got to go to everybody in this building, everybody that draws on general revenue, and say, okay, next year, if income stays the same, you have to give a proportional amount so we can employ four people?
But you wouldn't need to employ 4 at the door,
Okay.
just 1 at the door. Or to make a lunch shift would be the only time unless the courthouse were closed over lunch.
Whatever the number of employees is, we would have to take that amount of money and say, okay, general revenue. Of course, general revenue is already kicking in 911 over there, almost $1 million. Do you want to give up your budget?
I mean, absolutely I would give a portion of mine to know that my staff was safe and that my victims are safe. I absolutely would have no problem doing that.
You're an easier sell than somebody say, I'll pick on Kevin, because, you know, but if Kevin wanted to play hardball, which he won't, I'm sure we all agree that you need security, but I've been here a year and I'm already getting kickback from other elected officials. How long do we have to scrape and pry and bend over backwards to create enough of a surplus so we can continue to subsidize a department that, you know, we don't know how to fix? But to say that our stance is no, we're not going to come up with any money, no, that's
so
not.
20
that's not
days.
my stance.
So 20 days roughly in this new year, we sit with this situation where we have 9 or 10 months before we get to that trouble. Why, and we'll mess with it, I don't know what we're gonna do, but we'll talk about it, we haven't talked about it, that hasn't been our department to do. If that's the game that we're gonna have to get involved in, I guess it's not a game, I don't.
It is, he's playing a game.
Well, I know he's playing against, I know it's a game, like that, but as far as like the security of the people, that's the only reason I'm in this to begin with. But why?
Amen.
So how many people is he letting go? He's gonna get aggravated because I asked you, but he didn't bring this situation to
No,
me.
he didn't even come to us, we've never even heard of this before, that's what's the most,
Yeah.
but I think
He
you
didn't
know
come
all
to
that.
me either, the bailiffs did.
Right, so how many is he letting go?
My understanding is that no one's getting let go, they're just getting reassigned.
Getting reassigned, so.
I mean, I could be wrong. I could be wrong
Well,
about that. He could
okay,
have lost one patrol.
If he's reassigning him, he
He
has to
could've
be
lost-
letting somebody else go
He could
someplace
have
else.
lost I think maybe, he had talked about losing a patrolman and then I picked up one of his detectives.
Okay,
Again, I did that for a couple of reasons. One, I needed one, but another, because that person needed to maintain employment and because,
if all those people are getting moved laterally to a different department, they have to be replacing somebody.
I can't answer that question. Because I don't, well,
Well, because the sheriff should be,
want to be better than nothing.
Right.
Well-
One a commissioned person that can run that door and the metal detector. Normally it's manned by one person, 2 if court's in session.
2 of court's in session, but there's 2 plus a bailiff up in each courtroom.
But he has to provide that, according to
Right.
statute, he has to provide that. And he has met with Judge Dildine and has agreed to provide a bailiff while the judge is on the bench. Just nobody at the door during that time and nobody at the door on other times.
So essentially, when there's a judge on the bench, who's gonna walk, what's that
Yes.
person going to do when court's not in session?
He's
So
either
by
gonna be out,
next-
either serve paper or he's gonna have somebody that used to sit at our door will be next door to take walk-in complaints, because now what happens when a person takes walk-in complaints, they call a patrolman off the road to come in and answer the walk-in complaint. So one of those people will now be answering walk-in complaints in the sheriff's office.
Okay.
Which, I mean, that makes sense, I suppose. But instead of calling somebody off the road,
Right.
which is what has been happening, they'd have to wait or whatever, depending on where the person was.
so Leah, by the
So-
1st of February, even though this is the first we've heard of this, it's that big of a decision the sheriff's made to pull that security out, but it's not. Okay, I'm done.
And I think the issue is, which probably all of us can appreciate, is that we don't know our budgets until
That's,
we don't know, we know what we asked for, but we don't get a firm number until
Right.
close to
But
January.
if what you just said is correct, that one of these bailiffs is gonna be over waiting for walk-in complaints, so we don't have to call in a deputy off the road. What I take from that is, it's more important, how many walk-in complaints do we get a day?
I don't know.
But it's more important to make that convenient than it is to protect the people over in the justice centers. What that statement represents to me.
Again, I'm not disagreeing with,
I understand that.
Anyone's
We're just
position.
talking back and forth here.
I think you've been put in a pretty bad spot, because it's you're in danger, so you're there for your own employees and everybody else, but the point is, why haven't we been,
I mean,
I didn't know anything about,
This
I mean,
is
obviously
pretty-
Of course,
until last week.
he's talked
pretty
about,
slim?
he's talked about getting rid of the bailiffs, but he's also talked about getting rid of road deputies and so on and so forth. By all means.
Just out of curiosity, ask the question, before the Justice Center came into existence when we had court in this building, did we always have security guards here at this building when there was, in addition to bailiffs, or,
I don't remember.
and do we know if it always came out of the sheriff's budget, or was that something at the time when court was in this building that it was?
When court was in this building, I don't think people had gotten into the habit of going in and shooting up the courtroom quite as much back then.
I don't know the answer to that.
But I don't understand how the bailiff money ever got into the sheriff's budget if it wasn't his responsibility.
No, that don't make no sense.
Dean?
Yes, sir.
The bailiffs are his responsibility. He's required by statute to have one in the courtroom.
Right, we understand
Right.
that. I'm talking about, but
But the external security is not by statute his requirement. That's the predicament, right, Leah?
Correct.
I agree we need security there, I mean, of course, but I think that 50 people or 15 people versus 53,000 people, I think he might be better off putting those 2 or 3 or 4, however many people out on the road. I mean, I see his point. I mean, I don't think anybody can deny
Not
that.
a point at all. I know
But
it's just a
the
big, it's just a
fact
big
is-
game, and you're falling right into it, which is fine.
we can take, I
It's
can
not a
show-
game, Matt.
I can show you
It is.
That's what
examples
he's playing.
That's
of
what he's playing.
areas that are policed with the entirety of the jail staff, or the sheriff's department, officers, detectives, cooks, everything. One person per 1,000 of population. And that's with a jail that holds federal prisoners in the whole bit. 77,000 people, 77 employees. We employ about 77 people. He wanted to employ 96, and we have 52,000 people. Now, in a perfect world, yeah, we would have 96 employees. Everywhere you look, there'd be a deputy. But
If it's our responsibility to make sure that courthouse is safe, then we're going to. This is a big end run to get more money for the sheriff's department in the sheriff's eyes, and I'll say it to the camera, I'll say it to anybody. But if it's our responsibility to spend some of the general revenue on keeping the people safe, at the metal detectors and all that stuff, okay, so be it. But it's a big ploy to get more money for the sheriff's department. He did this on purpose. If everybody can't see that, and if he was here, and please play this, don't delete this if you want to show somebody something. And I'll comment. Thank you. It's aggravating because we're only 20 months. We don't even know what's going to happen yet this year, and this is the type of. Okay.
moderate
That's the
prisoner
worst I've
revenue
seen.
would get us the money to keep these people about. Yes, John.
Put the court security people under the PA. I mean, if it's,
It still takes more money
I
out of the
know,
budget.
I
I'm
know.
already
Still
getting my
gonna give
chops.
him more.
Let's see. I shrunk the budget deficit. I'm getting my chops busted because there's still a deficit. And now I got to go back and add to the budget.
Well, I think he's getting his chops cut too because of the response time. You know, you say that the walk-ins, it's probably not only the walk-ins, but it's the call-ins too that deputy is handling. So it's, I'm sure that the deputy is doing more than just sitting there waiting for walk-ins.
And I would say that if you wanted it under the PA's budget at some point, or if that were, I would be happy to enter into an MOU with the commission saying this is what this money's for and this is how it's allocated, so that at any time that you chose to do something different, there wouldn't be any question as to where that was supposed to come in and where it was going out. That there wouldn't be an issue, whether it be with me or a future administration. So it didn't get mucked up in the who covered it when, where, whatever. I would be happy to do that and think that's probably a really good idea for those types of things so that they can't be used one way or another, either to benefit or to the detriment of whomever. And
Well, I need to know exactly how many people we need for what duration of time that we have to hire. And watch and see, we cut 77 checks for law enforcement trust fund last time I counted. Once we take on these security people, you watch and see if that number isn't real close to 77.